Hello students and welcome back to the Children's Nutrition series of videos. In this video we are going to talk about infant nutrition as well as school nutrition and teenagers nutrition. So expect to learn what a child should eat during the first 1 to 3 years of age, then during school time and when he or she is a teenager. We're going to view in detail all the requirements and all the parameters we have to take in account during those life stages. So let's begin. Hi, I'm Tommy. I'm a human nutrition student and researcher at the university. What I do in this type of videos is to synthesize what I learn at the university during the classes, so then I can explain and teach you the best and most valuable information you need to know. So let's begin by talking about the infant nutrition. Infant nutrition from 0 to 2 years of age. This period determines the overall health of the individual. It's very important. We have growth and development, and we also have to avoid chronic diseases. Diseases indeed. So the World Health Organization and the Pediatric Agency recommend from 0 to 6 months breast milk only, from 4 to 7 months semi-solid foods, and from 12 months onward it's similar to a complete nutrition. So we have human breastfeeding, artificial formulas, and complementary nutrition. Let's begin with human breastfeeding. So we have to give the breast, not the bottle, because the bottle has many problems, such as an incorrect way of suctioning. And this bad way of suctioning will actually harm the mother when she gives breast again, because it's not the same a nipple than a bottle. There are some support groups that facilitate the first contact of suction. This is to have a greater milk production, and then after that the infant sets the pace. What are the types of breast milk? Colostrum, the first 4 days. This is 80% whey protein and 20% caseins in terms of protein profile. It is very dense and very fatty, full of saturated fats to grow a lot. Then there is the transitional milk from 4 to 15 days, in which the sugar content raises, it increases. And then we have the mature milk from 15 to 30 days. It helps to form the microbiota of the infant. The success of breast milk depends on the mother's desire to breastfeed. Indeed, if she wants, the more she breastfeeds, the better. The World Health Organization and UNICEF, with EHAN countries, have promoted indeed breastfeeding because of the benefits. What are the advantages then? Well, an easy digestion and absorption of the milk, function and development of lips and teeth. That's why it's better to give breast, not bottles. Protection against gastrointestinal tract infections, lower adult cholesterol, interesting. Protection against chronic diseases and allergies, very important. And it also improves the psychomotor and cognitive development, so it's amazing. What are the difficulties though? Well, we can encounter a rejection of the breast, for example. There is a problem when the children or the mother are sick, colics, sleep issues, breastfeeding setbacks, mastitis, maybe an inappropriate position syndrome if we breastfeed in an incorrect manner, flat nipples, and tandem breastfeeding when there is another child. There is a competition, more or less. Moving on, we have artificial milk formulas. They appeared in the 1800s. We went from wet nurses giving breastfeed to then pasteurize that milk, to then Nestle using cow's milk to make formulas, then fortified formulas, and more recently the FCDA introduced a label registry in 1938. And there are some committees, certain committees, that develop and improve these artificial milk formulas. What is the classification of these formulas? Starting, the first 6 months, the follow-on, which can be maintained up to 3 years, and the growth. These are not legislated though. That's why we can move on with the follow-on formulas 3 years. Other types of formulas we have are the anti-reflux, anti-constipation, hydrolyzed, based on soy, and lactose-free as well. Complementary nutrition. This is the introduction of solid, semi-solid, or liquid, non-dairy foods. So everything else apart from breast milk or artificial milk formulas. There's not a consensus to when it is ideal to start, but we know for sure that if we start too early, before 4 months, it can lead to an organ damage because the infant is not prepared. But if we wait too much, more than 7 months, it's too late and it can lead to malnutrition. We have to take in account that there is a progressive reduction of kilocalories per kilogram as they grow. We go from 115 kilocalories per kilogram of body weight of the infant to 80 in just 1 year. And another important thing is that this complementary nutrition must be integrated with the family habits. So grains at 6 months with a spoon-fed porridge, always with spoon. Fruit without sugar nor honey, always with a spoon as well. And the most allergic fruit at 12 months. So wait a little bit more. Vegetables, sugar-free porridge, again, sugar-free, without salt. Leafy greens, only at 12 months. Meat, included in the vegetable porridge. Same as fish. Yogurts and cheeses can appear after 8 months. Eggs at 9 months, starting with the yolk, and legumes at 12 months, twice a week. And here we have the concept of baby-led weaning, in which the child chooses what to eat and learns to eat alone. So it's very interesting from that perspective, but we also have to monitor them for sure. Unfortunately, there can be a possible malnutrition problem, which can also lead to a legal problem following this philosophy. But it's very good for hunger satiety signals for the infant. And well, it decreases the estimation of the intake. So it's a great, interesting tool and very powerful if done properly, but you have to make sure you do it properly. Then we have the preschool and school age nutrition. These are the first 1,000 life days. These are turning point for improving population health. The nutritional needs are to maintain adequate nutritional status, normal growth and development, and to prevent diseases. So what are the requirements? Well, we can follow the Food and Nutrition Board in the United States or the European Union. The DRI, the Dietary Reference Intake, is the same as the DRV, the Dietary Reference Value. Here we have the RDA, which are the recommended daily amounts, and they meet the requirements of 98% of the healthy population. In Europe, we have the reference intake for the population. Then the EAR, which is the estimated average requirement. It's adequate to meet the needs of half of the healthy individuals. And in Europe, there is the average requirement. Then the upper limit is the maximum amount that can be ingested without health risk in the long term. And the AI, which is the recommended average intake, is based on the estimates of apparently healthy population intake. In Europe, on the other hand, we have the acceptable range of intake, which includes these two. It's similar to both of them. And we also have the lower threshold intake, which is the minimum intake to maintain metabolic integrity. We also have acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. These are ranges of macronutrients with a lower risk of chronic diseases. These are expressed as percentages of total calories. For example, 45 to 65% of carbs, 30 to 35% of fats, and 10 to 15% of protein. Those for macronutrients. And for energy, we have the total energy expenditure, and we use mechanisms to establish those values. In the Food and Nutrition Board values, the AI, which is the recommended average intake, is used when there is insufficient data for the RDA, recommended daily amount. And the exact pediatric age requirements for some nutrients are unknown. That's why we have an extrapolation from the adults. So in the early childhood nutrition, from 1 to 3 years, there is an optimal growth and development and the learning of healthy habits. This is to prevent chronic diseases. This is a transition state in which we have to take into account the idiosyncrasies, so the characteristics of an individual, the family and cultural habits, as well as economy and food availability. In this stage of life, there is a lower caloric need compared to before, lower appetite and lower interest in food. But there is also a maturation period and the protein needs are higher. Then we have the preschool from 3 to 4 years to 5 to 6 years of age. They experience a growth of 6 to 8 centimeters per year and a weight gain of 2 to 3 kilograms per year. They tend to have lower energy needs and little interest in food. Indeed, this can be associated with a lack of appetite, which is physiological. In this life stage, the imitation habits and genetics will affect the food choices. This will also develop a self-control and interest in food, and sometimes it can also be associated with possible picky eating. Then in the elementary school, from 7 to 11 years, more or less, there is a slower growth and more stable weight gain. In this stage of life, they learn a lot of skills. They become more independent. They are influenced by TV and technology when choosing their food. There is a higher variety in energy intake and nutrient distribution. Some days they eat a lot, some days they eat very little. They start to learn the signals of appetite and satiety. There can be energetic needs increased due to sports, and imbalances in nutrients and energy can lead to obesity. So it's a very important stage of life, as all of them. So based on that, we can start view the nutrients and requirements. So from 1 to 3 years of age, the energy we need is 1300 kilocalories a day. That equals more or less to 102 kilocalories per kilogram per day. In the preschool, we have a little bit more calories, so 1800 calories a day, with 90 kilocalories per kilogram per day. And in the elementary school, we have 2000 calories a day, 70 kilocalories per kilogram per day. Proteins in the early childhood, 1.2 grams per kilogram per day, followed by 1.1 and decreasing to 1 gram per kilogram per day. 65% of that protein coming from animal sources. Then carbohydrates. As you can see, we start in the early childhood with 130 grams per day to 90 in the preschool and 70 in the elementary school. Lipids go from 30-40 with 7 grams a day of polyunsaturated fatty acids, omega-6s, and 0.15 grams a day of EPA and DHA, which are omega-3s. These are very important for the brain development. To 30-35% of lipids with a balance between animal and vegetable fats in both preschool and elementary school. The calcium, 500 milligrams a day in the early childhood to 800 up to 1300 milligrams a day according to the age, of course. Iron stays the same up to 10 years of age, which is 10 milligrams a day. Phosphorus is more or less the same as well, 460 in the early childhood, 500 in the preschool, and 460 in the elementary school. Zinc is the same in all life stages, 10 milligrams a day, and the dietary distribution changes only in the preschool, in which we add a meal. So it would look like 25% of breakfast, 30% of lunch, 15% of snack, and 30% of dinner in both early childhood and elementary school. But in the preschool, we also had the mid-morning. So it will look like 20% of breakfast, 10% of mid-morning, 35% of lunch, 10% of snack, and 25% of dinner. These are the percentages of kilocalories distribution in a day. Other recommendations. So for all of them, to follow a varied, balanced, and individualized diet and to avoid ultra-processed food. Then, to be precise, in the early childhood, we do not have to reward with food. It's important to give them whole milk until they are 2 years old, and we have to prevent the obesity and malnutrition, and maybe consider food selectivity and take into account neophobia. Specific to the preschool, the school menus must provide more than 30-35% of energy requirements and more than 50% of protein. There must be a health education in school for children, teachers, and families, and it is recommended to restrict the TV and technology use to 1 to 2 hours a day. And then in the elementary school, we have to monitor the nutritional quality of snacks and school menus, limit daily TV, video games, consoles to a maximum of 1 to 2 hours a day, which is very difficult to do nowadays, to avoid snacking and empty calories, and to emphasize food pyramids and labeling. And now talking about teenagers' nutrition. So based on the World Health Organization, teenagers are from 10 to 19 years old, and it starts with puberty. It's a stage of life with rebellion, physical image comparison, family conflicts, friends become idols, and in which we have a lot of maturing. So the nutritional state assessment must follow the ABCD. Do you remember that? So A, anthropometry, physical exploration, to guess the bone age. So to view the bone health, of course. Then how our genetics will affect our physical image. For example, Japanese children height in the Netherlands is still very low, even though they live in the tallest country in Europe. And this is also correlated with fat children that tend to be tall. So anthropometry here. Then laboratory. This is the B, biochemistry. So here we do a blood analysis, but sometimes it's not the best indicator of a poor diet. Then C, ABC, clinical history. Here the objective is to find the truth, to measure the weight and talk to the parents. But it's very important when we are with them to talk directly to the kid, not to the parents, because teenagers hate that the doctors will talk to the parents instead of talking to them directly. So talk directly to the teenager. And D, dietetic history. So there is a correlation between sugars and unhealthy fats with earlier puberty. So we have to take in account that as well. The requirements for them: energetic, using the calculation formulas. Of course, they must provide all the macros. And in terms of micros, vitamins, we have to make sure they get all the vitamins. And minerals, we have to pay attention to calcium, iron, and zinc, especially. Physiological changes, we have physiological and social factors that will influence the diet. Physiological changes due to the diet are sexual maturing, increase in weight and height, body composition, cardiorespiratory fitness for the longevity, neuronal development, there is a synapses selection, and immune system development, the microbiota. And we have to take in account that boys grow for more time than girls. This is because girls have a shorter period for growing, shorter period of puberty. And if puberty comes earlier, there is less growth than the ideal. What are the nutritional risk factors? Well, in teenagers, they do skip meals sometimes, and then they eat a lot of snacks, a lot of processed fast food, alcohol and tobacco, special diets only for the appearance and body shape. So they follow trends because of their friends, and they are going to start a new diet because someone that looks great follows that diet, not because it's healthy. So as you can see, there can be nutritional alterations in this life stage, which can be correlated with obesity and eating disorders, as well as nutritional deficiencies. What about sport teenagers? Well, here we follow the concept of primum non nocere, which means first to not harm. So sport must be included, but not too much. So no supplementation, no weight competitions. There is no point at that age. No isotonic or energetic drinks. No muscle building purposes. Why would you want that at that age? And the nutrient distribution must be similar to teenagers that do not practice sport, so normal population. So to recap, malnutrition acts as a multiplier. There are catch-ups in height during adolescence because of different ranges of puberty. Puberty offers a sensitive window to promote healthy activities, to get a healthy development and avoid obesity. It's an opportunity. Being a teenager is the imperfect stage of life because of adolescere, which means to change. And being a teenager is unique, and it influences their health status and the clinical expert approach to them. Okay, this is it for this video. I hope you understood everything I said. If you didn't, there is a comment section down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you found value in this, please share it to your friends and families to spread this knowledge to them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, in which we are going to talk about the pediatric enteral nutrition and pediatric parenteral nutrition. So stay tuned for more information on children's nutrition. I will see you there. Hope you enjoy it. Ciao!